Welcome back to the channel. This is Crop Scout 723. In this video, I want to take a closer look at our NPE cotton variety trial. Our plot for 2022 was located in Lauderdale County, Tennessee, along the Mississippi River, and was under pivot irrigation. It was planted on Mother's Day, May 8th, and harvested on October the 19th. I have two groups of pictures that I'll be including with each variety that I'm going to show. The first group is where I pulled two plants from each plot and removed the leaves to give an idea of plant structure and yield potential. These were taken at the end of August. The second group was taken from the seat of the cotton picker at the time of harvest to give a glance of the amount of bolls that were opened at harvest, and to better compare growth habits of each variety. While I will not be unveiling all of our yield results, I would still like to show some of the variety characteristics and yield potential based on scouting that I did of this plot, as well as give an idea of how each variety performed. One factor that affected yield this year was variety maturity at harvest. We did have some small differences when it comes to level of openness. Overall, I don't think this was a big issue, as most were able to open for most varieties in the plot. The first variety is Stoneville 4595. This one remained relatively short and may be a good variety for easy growth management. I think this one has a high yield potential and had an impressive number of bolls. It is an early to mid maturity variety and had an excellent boll openness at the time of harvest. When it comes to yield for Stoneville 4595, it ranked very high in our plot this year, inside the top 3 in fact. And if you look at UT's cotton variety trial, it finished at the top there as well. So hopefully we will see good things from it in the future. That is Stoneville 4595. The next variety is one that's been around for a little while, and that's Next Gen 4936. So another easy to manage variety when using growth regulators. This one had a lot of yield potential with a tight structure and large bolls. However, based on yield, I think most of the newer varieties are better than this one, and we'll see as time goes on, the gap between the newer varieties and the older ones like this one is going to get bigger. It is a medium maturity variety. As you can see at harvest, we got most, but not all, to open. Next, we look at another one similar to 4936 in that it's one that's well known at this point. This one was very surprising as it yielded at the bottom of the chart. It's one that has had its moments for us in the past. And in some years it's done well. It seems like it sometimes does better on ground that's not irrigated. So maybe that was a factor. From the cotton picker seat, 9371 was most noticeable in how much was left unopened when compared to the plots on either side. However, 9371 is listed as an early to mid-maturity variety and probably should have looked better than it did if you're just looking at maturity. If you plant this one, it will require a little more aggressive management when using PGRs because it likes to grow. Moving on to Delta Pine Link 2115, an early maturing variety that has shown out for us for 2 consecutive years. The plants are fairly compact with regular scouting. Plant height is easy to maintain. Very impressive just based off the yields that I've seen this year and last. Its performance in this year's NPE plot was outstanding and seems to be consistent. It ranked in the top 3. Next is a newer variety that is still being tested. Delta Pine Link 21R618. I have been impressed with the yield potential of this one, both in this year and last year's plots. This one seems to be less responsive to picks based on scouting. We did not get as much to open, as you can see in the picture, but the yield was still fairly impressive. This one finished inside the top 10. 622 is a new variety that, as far as I know, is still being tested by Delta Pine. For me, at harvest, it passed the eye test. It was one of the most open varieties we had, and you could see that very evidently from the cotton picker. I had hoped to see this one make it into next year's line of products. For us, it ended up very well and finished in the top 3 varieties, along with 2115 and Stoneville 4595. Through scouting, it seemed to be less responsive to Mepiquat. So coming next year in 2023, Delta Pine will be offering a new class of cotton varieties, including some that we tested in our NPE plot this year. 20R733, which next year will be Delta Pine 2333, a mid-maturity cotton variety. It did very well for us and yielded in the top 5. As a part of the 2022 class of Delta Pine, we look at 2239. It's a mid-maturing variety. It's definitely one that is more responsive to plant growth regulators and is easy to manage. This one seemed to remain relatively short on all the acres we planted it, but still had a fairly strong yield. At just over 1,550 pounds per acre, it finished inside the top 10. Delta Pine Thrive On 2131. A very good variety in my opinion. And, I think the pictures speak for themselves. Thrive On technology is awesome in protecting against thrips as well as plant bugs. So that is a great added bonus. Planting Thrive On does not guarantee you will have a good yield. So cotton will still need to have good growth traits to keep up with the competition. However, when it comes to 2131, I believe that they got it right. It wants to grow, so Mepiquat management has to be monitored, but it also wants to put on bolls, and the pictures that I have prove that. It finished just outside of the top 5 at number 6. Just above 1,600 pounds per acre. 123 is another one not yet on the market for Delta Pine and is less responsive to picks. Did not stand out too much in this plot. Also new to Delta Pine 2023 class, we have 21R4 127, which next year will be Delta Pine 2317. an early maturity variety, and has Thrive-On technology. It's more responsive to picks. It's another one that finished just over 1,600 pounds in the top 10. 128, one that's still being tested by Delta Pine, somewhat responsive to picks, and was more so just average or mediocre as it compares to the rest of the plot. Next, we have 21 R4 132, which will be Delta Pine 2328 in next year's class. Yet another mid-maturity variety. It finished at number 5. So it should be a good option for those wanting to grow a Thrive-On variety with a high yield potential. Now we have a new group of Armor varieties. I won't spend a lot of time on these because unfortunately they were all underperformers in the plot, and that may be just due to the location that they were placed in the field. Armor 21X01. This was the best Armor variety of the group and finished about average in the entire test. The yield was similar to 2239, 618, and 123, so definitely not a bad variety overall. Armor 21X02. The yield was at the bottom and was similar to Armor 9371. Armor 22X2343. A lower than average yield, and it was similar to where Next Gen 4936 finished. And finally, we have Armor 22X1263. Seemed to be a very tight structured plant with short internode distances, and this one fell short along with a lot of the other Armor varieties when it comes to yield. To conclude the video, thank you for watching, and I hope that this video will help you as we look forward to the 2023 growing season.